The unexpected guardian. The quantum comm unit buzzed on Commander Maya Chen's wrist as she supervised the final round of combat exercises. Cadets in training exoskeletons moved through the simulation course, their forms blurred by the heavy rain that pounded the Earth Defense Force compound. "Hold position," she ordered her second-in-command. "I need to take this." Maya stepped under shelter and activated the comm. A shimmering hologram materialized, a being with iridescent scales and 6 eyes arranged in a perfect hexagon. The insignia on its ceremonial collar marked it as Imperial. "Commander Chen of Earth," the being said, voice resonating with translator harmonics. "Emperor Talon Xi, sovereign of the 7 spiral arms, requests your immediate presence on Nexus Prime. A vessel awaits in high orbit. You depart in 6 hours." The transmission ended before Maya could respond. She stood motionless, rain drumming around her. In 15 years of service, from the Martian conflict to the Ort Defense Initiative, she had never received a direct Imperial summons. No human had set foot in the Emperor's inner court for over a century. The Imperial cruiser emerged from fold space over Nexus Prime, the galactic capital world that served as the heart of an empire spanning thousands of star systems. Maya stood at the observation deck, her dress uniform, charcoal gray with silver piping that marked Earth Special Forces, feeling stiff after 3 weeks in transit. Nexus Prime filled the viewport, its surface a tapestry of light and shadow. 7 artificial rings encircled the planet, each a marvel of engineering representing one of the 7 founding species of the Galactic Concord. "We have clearance to dock at the Imperial Spire," announced the pilot, a multi-limbed thessalid whose translucent body pulsed with neural patterns. "An escort waits for you, Commander." The Imperial Spire rose from the center of the planetary capital, a structure of impossible height that pierced the atmosphere itself. As Maya disembarked, she found herself facing a towering figure, easily 3 meters tall with armor plates that appeared to be part of its physiology. "I am Kravnak, Sentinel Prime of the Imperial Guard," the being announced, voice rumbling like distant thunder. "Follow me, human, and speak only when addressed." They entered a gravity lift that carried them upward at dizzying speed. Through transparent walls, Maya watched the cityscape fall away. Other aliens they passed in the corridor stared openly, some with multiple eyes, others with sensory organs Maya couldn't identify. Their reactions ranged from curiosity to undisguised contempt. "They've never seen a human here," Maya observed. Kravnak's armored face turned slightly. "They wonder why the Emperor would summon such a fragile species. Your kind lacks natural defenses, enhanced strength, or sensory capabilities beyond the most basic." "We manage," Maya replied simply. The lift stopped at a massive chamber where dozens of diverse alien dignitaries conversed in clusters. Conversations hushed as Maya walked through, escorted by Kravnak. She felt the weight of countless alien gazes, calculating, measuring, dismissing. At the chamber's far end stood a figure that could only be Emperor Talon, nearly humanoid but clearly alien, with skin that shimmered between blue and silver depending on how light struck it. 4 arms were folded in formal posture, and eyes like liquid mercury regarded her approach. "Commander Maya Chen of Earth," announced a disembodied voice that seemed to emanate from the walls themselves. Maya bowed according to the protocol she'd studied during the journey. "Your Imperial Majesty." "Rise." "Commander," the Emperor said, voice melodic yet powerful. "You wonder why you have been summoned across 20,000 light years." It wasn't a question. Maya remained silent, waiting. "Look around you," the Emperor continued. "The finest warriors from 100 worlds serve in my guard. The Kravak have exoskeletons that can withstand heavy weapons fire. The Thessalids can perceive electromagnetic spectrum across all frequencies. The Voth can predict muscle movements before they occur." He stepped closer, silver eyes studying her intently. "Yet I have summoned you." A murmur rippled through the assembly. Kravnak's armored plates shifted in what Maya interpreted as discomfort or perhaps displeasure. 3 assassination attempts in the past 60 days, the Emperor said, voice lowered. Each bypassing security measures considered impenetrable, each thwarted by chance rather than design. Maya's tactical mind immediately began processing implications. Your Majesty, I'm honored, but you question why I would choose a human when surrounded by physically superior species, the Emperor finished. That is precisely why you are here, Commander Chen. My enemies have adapted to my protector's strengths. They understand how the Kravak think, how the Thessalids perceive, how the Voth predict. But humans, his silver eyes gleamed. Humans are chaotic variables. That evening, Maya was given quarters in the Imperial Spire's secure section. The accommodations had been hastily adapted for human physiology, atmospheric composition, gravity, and temperature all adjusted to Earth standard. The thoughtfulness of the arrangements contrasted sharply with the hostility she'd sensed from the Imperial Guard. As she unpacked her meager belongings, a soft tone announced a visitor. The door slid open to reveal a human woman in diplomatic attire, earth blue with the silver insignia of the diplomatic court. Commander Chen, the woman said with evident relief, I'm Ambassador Diane Nakamura, Earth's representative to the Imperial Court. May I come in? Maya nodded, gesturing to a seating area designed for beings considerably larger than humans. I wasn't notified you were coming, the ambassador said, voice low despite the apparent privacy. No one was. The Emperor's summons bypassed all standard protocols. I'm as surprised as anyone, Maya admitted. I understand no human has served directly in the Imperial Court before. Nakamura's expression was grave. Not in a security capacity, no. The Kravak have monopolized the Emperor's protection for millennia. They're displeased, to put it mildly. I gathered that. Commander, you need to understand the political situation you've walked into, Nakamura continued. The Imperial Court is a nest of factions and ancient alliances. Some species have served specific functions for thousands of years. By bringing you here, the Emperor has disrupted traditions older than human civilization. Maya considered this. He mentioned assassination attempts. Yes, highly sophisticated ones that somehow penetrated multiple layers of security. Nakamura leaned forward. The court whispers that the assassins had inside help. From the Imperial Guard. Maya's eyes narrowed. Perhaps, or another faction. The Emperor trusts no one now. Nakamura stood to leave. Be careful, Commander. Every eye in this court will watch for you to fail, or worse, hope for it. The following morning, Maya began her duties shadowing the Emperor. She wore no powered armor like the Kravak guards, carried no energy weapons like the Thessalid sentinels. Her only tools were a standard-issue combat knife and a small neural disruptor that the Imperial Security Chief had reluctantly provided. The Emperor attended a diplomatic reception for representatives from the Outer Rim territories. Hundreds of alien dignitaries filled a vast hall whose ceiling displayed a real-time holographic map of the Empire, countless stars connected by trade routes and political boundaries. Maya positioned herself 3 paces behind the Emperor, scanning continuously. The Kravak guards formed a perimeter. Their armor plates shifted to display formal ceremonial patterns. They pointedly avoided acknowledging her presence. The human looks lost, came a voice at her side. A tall, willowy being with 4 arms and skin that rippled with bioluminescent patterns. Such primitive senses compared to the Guard Corps. Sometimes simpler is better, Maya replied, not taking her eyes off the crowd. I am Teltor, Minister of Cultural Exchange, the being continued. I've studied your species. Fascinating how you've achieved spaceflight despite your limitations. Maya noticed how the minister kept shifting position, always maintaining a direct line to the Emperor. Casual conversation, yet deliberate movement. Humans achieve many things despite our limitations, Maya agreed, subtly adjusting her own position to mirror the minister's movements. The Emperor was speaking with an ambassador from the Outer Rim, a gelatinous being contained within an environmental suit. The conversation appeared tense, with translator harmonics struggling to keep pace with rapid exchanges. Zelthan's forehands moved in what seemed like casual gestures, but Maya detected patterns, each movement bringing one hand closer to what appeared to be a ceremonial bracelet. 3 rapid observations clicked together in Maya's mind. The minister's gradual positioning, the timing of hand movements whenever the Emperor's attention was diverted, and the way the bracelet's ornate crystals aligned when turned at specific angles. Maya moved with explosive speed, grabbing the minister's wrist just as the crystal components aligned. "Don't," she said quietly. Zelthan's bioluminescent patterns flared in alarm. "Unhand me, human. This is a sacred cultural artifact." The Kravak guards turned, sensing disturbance, but Maya had already twisted the bracelet from the minister's wrist. She held it up, pointing to the now visible emission port hidden among the decorative elements. "Cultural artifact with a molecular disruptor component," she announced calmly. "Ingenious design. Alignment triggered." The hall fell silent. The Emperor turned, mercury eyes focusing on the scene. "Impossible." Zelthan protested, skin patterns now chaotic with stress signatures. "The Kravak scanners cleared me." "The components were inert until aligned," Maya explained, handing the device to the security chief who had rushed forward. Each piece harmless individually, deadly when positioned correctly. The Emperor's gaze shifted between Maya and the flustered minister. "How did you know, Commander Chen?" "Pattern recognition, Your Majesty," Maya said simply. The minister was too deliberate in his movements while appearing casual. "In human military training, we study body language extensively because we lack telepathy or enhanced senses. We learn to notice what doesn't fit." The Emperor nodded slowly. "Take the minister for questioning," he ordered the guards. As they escorted the protesting Zelthan away, the Emperor's silver eyes met Maya's. "It seems my assessment of human capabilities was correct." Later that night, Maya received another visitor, but not one she expected. The Emperor himself stood at her door, accompanied by a single Thessalid guard who remained in the corridor when the door closed. "Your actions today have validated my decision," the Emperor said without preamble. "None of my traditional guards detected the threat. May I speak freely, Your Majesty? That is why I am here." "Why me specifically? Earth has thousands of qualified security specialists." The Emperor's forehands created a complex gesture that seemed to express both certainty and concern. "Your service record shows 23 instances where you identified threats through what your superiors called intuitive leaps rather than standard tactical analysis. You see patterns others miss." Maya frowned. "Those records are classified." "I am the Emperor," he replied simply. Then, more seriously, "Commander Chen, I believe my empire faces a threat unlike any in our history, not from outside, but from within. Infiltrators who can bypass our most sophisticated security because they helped design it. The assassination attempts. Test runs, I believe, for something larger." The Emperor moved to the viewport overlooking the capital. "Every species in the Empire has evolved specialized abilities, strength, speed, telepathy, precognition, that became the foundation of their security protocols. But that specialization is now their weakness. My enemies understand those capabilities precisely because they're so consistent." Maya began to understand. "But humans evolved as generalists," the Emperor finished. "Jack of all trades, master of none, as your Earth saying goes. You lack the physical advantages of the Kravak or the sensory range of the Thessalids, but you adapt. You improvise. You see connections where specialists see only their narrow field of expertise. You want unpredictability," Maya realized. "I want a security perspective that my enemies cannot anticipate," the Emperor confirmed, "because they've never had to account for how humans think." As the Emperor turned to leave, he added one final observation that sent a chill through Maya. "And judging by the reaction of my court today, they fear that unpredictability more than any weapon." Conspiracy unveiled. A month into Maya's service, The hostility from the Imperial Guard had evolved from open disdain to reluctant acknowledgement. After she had identified 3 more security breaches that their protocols had missed, even Kravnak, the Sentinel Prime, had begun to include her in security briefings. Though he still towered over her with armored plates flared whenever they spoke. The human's presence disrupts proper security formations, Kravnak complained during one such briefing. Our units are calibrated for synchronized movement. Commander Chen follows no predictable patterns. That is precisely her value. The Emperor replied calmly. An enemy who can predict your movements has already defeated you. Maya had established a routine of sorts. Each morning she would run through Earth combat exercises in the Imperial training facility, drawing curious observers from various species. Some watched with analytical interest, others with barely concealed amusement at what must have seemed primitive physical training. During one such session, she noticed a slender figure observing from the shadows, smaller than most Imperial residents, with the same shimmering skin as the Emperor but darker, almost midnight blue. Princess Selene, the Emperor's daughter and heir apparent. Your movements are inefficient, the princess said, stepping forward, yet effective. Maya completed her sequence before responding. Predictable efficiency can be countered. Sometimes inefficiency serves a purpose. So my father believes. The princess circled Maya, studying her with mercury eyes that seemed to peer beyond physical form. The court speaks of little else these days. The human who sees what the great guards of the Empire cannot. I simply look differently. And that is what frightens them. Princess Selene gestured toward the exit. Walk with me, Commander. They strolled through a section of the spire dedicated to botanical specimens from across the Empire, plants that crawled, floated, or emitted soft harmonic tones. Privacy fields shimmered subtly around them, ensuring their conversation remained private. My father did not choose you merely for your observational skills, the princess said abruptly. He believes there is a conspiracy reaching into the highest levels of imperial governance, a shadow organization that has operated for centuries, placing agents throughout the bureaucracy. Maya kept her expression neutral. He mentioned concerns. The cosmic architects, Princess Selene continued, voice lowered despite the privacy field. Most consider them a myth, a convenient explanation for political failures or natural disasters. But my father has compiled evidence of their existence for decades. And you believe this too. The princess stopped beside a plant whose crimson leaves tracked their movement. I believe that 3 assassination attempts penetrated security measures designed by the greatest minds in the Empire. I believe that economic disturbances in the outer rim show patterns too precise to be coincidental. And I believe that certain ancient families in the court demonstrate knowledge they should not possess. Maya processed this. Why tell me? Because you have no established loyalties in the court, no centuries of alliances or vendettas, and because humans lack the telepathic vulnerabilities that most species in the Empire possess to some degree. We're immune to mind reading, Maya translated. Precisely. Whatever you discover cannot be extracted from your thoughts without your knowledge. The princess produced a small crystal data node. Security reports from the last 50 years. Patterns my father identified but could never verify through official channels. Maya accepted the node cautiously. This is highly irregular, Your Highness. These are irregular times, Commander Chen. The princess's mercury eyes hardened. I believe the architects planned something significant soon. My father's decision to bring you here has accelerated their timeline. That evening, Maya studied the data the princess had provided. The encryption was sophisticated, but the node interfaced with her neural uplink, projecting information directly into her visual cortex. Patterns emerged across decades, subtle resource diversions, unexplained disappearances of key officials, security breaches with no identified perpetrators. A soft chime interrupted her analysis. Ambassador Nakamura requesting entry. I've been trying to reach you, the ambassador said, tension evident in her voice as she entered. The court is in turmoil. High Chancellor Vexorn has called for an emergency session of the Imperial Council tomorrow, ostensibly to discuss security protocols, but rumor suggests it's about you. Me specifically. Your role, your presence, the perceived slight against traditional guardians of the Imperial family. Nakamura paced the room. Commander, you've disrupted power structures that have remained stable for millennia. That appears to be exactly what the Emperor wanted, Maya observed. Perhaps, but Nakamura stopped mid-sentence, staring at the data projections still visible in the air. What is this? Maya deactivated the display with a thought. Research. The ambassador's expression grew concerned. Those looked like classified security reports. Where did you get access to Imperial intelligence archives? I have the Emperor's confidence, Maya replied, deliberately vague. Nakamura studied her carefully. Be cautious, Commander. Earth holds a precarious position in the Empire. We lack the military strength of the core worlds or the economic leverage of the resource systems. If you become the center of an Imperial scandal, I understand the stakes, Ambassador. Maya escorted her to the door. But I also understand my duty. After Nakamura left, Maya reactivated the data, but with enhanced security protocols active. Something about the ambassador's reaction had triggered her instincts, the specific focus on the data rather than the broader political situation. The emergency council session the next day was held in the Grand Chamber, a vast circular room with tiered seating for representatives from every major system in the Empire. Maya stood behind the Emperor's elevated throne, scanning the assembled dignitaries. High Chancellor Vexorn, a massive being with crystalline growths protruding from iridescent skin, stood at the chamber's center. His voice resonated through translator fields to accommodate the diverse species present. For 8,000 cycles, the security of the Imperial family has been entrusted to those with proven capabilities, the Chancellor declared. The Kravak with their unmatched physical prowess, the Thessalids with their perception beyond normal space, the Voth with their temporal awareness. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Yet now, he continued, voice rising, a human, from a species barely a millennium into spaceflight, stands as the Emperor's personal guardian. A species with no natural defenses, no enhanced capabilities, no evolutionary advantages whatsoever. The Chancellor turned directly toward Maya. We have examined Earth's history extensively. A species that has spent more time fighting itself than advancing. A species that nearly destroyed its own planet multiple times. A species driven by unpredictable emotions rather than logic or duty. Holographic displays activated around the chamber, showing historical images of Earth's wars, environmental catastrophes, and social conflicts. Is this who we want protecting the Imperial line? The Chancellor demanded. Is this who we trust with the Empire's future? Princess Celine rose from her seat beside her father. You speak of trust, Chancellor, yet under the proven capabilities you praise, my father has faced 3 assassination attempts in 60 days. Perhaps different capabilities are needed when traditional methods fail. The Chancellor bowed slightly. Your Highness, no security system is perfect, but humans lack the basic sensory apparatus to detect the molecular disruptor you yourself approved for Minister Zelthan's use. Maya interrupted, stepping forward. The chamber fell silent. The Emperor turned his mercury gaze toward her, but made no move to silence her. Commander Chen, you overstep, the Chancellor said coldly. The authorization codes for the Minister's security clearance came from your office, Maya continued, as did the clearances for the environmental technician who tampered with the Emperor's chambers and the diplomatic envoy who carried the neurotoxin 3 weeks ago. The Chancellor's crystalline growths flashed with internal light. These are serious accusations, human. Where is your evidence? Maya activated her neural uplink, projecting data into the chamber systems. Authorization chains showing your office's approval for each individual who attempted assassination. Communication records showing encrypted transmissions to an unmarked location in the Outer Rim immediately before each attempt. Kravnak and the Imperial Guards shifted position, their armor plates reconfiguring to combat readiness. Circumstantial evidence, the Chancellor dismissed. Administrative oversights that a more experienced security officer would recognize as such. Perhaps, Maya acknowledged. But when Ambassador Nakamura from Earth showed unusual interest in classified security data she shouldn't have known existed, I placed tracking algorithms in my quarters systems. She projected new data. Surveillance footage showing Nakamura accessing Maya's terminal after departing. Transmitting data to an encrypted channel. The same channel that leads to your private network, Chancellor. The chamber erupted in chaos. The Emperor raised a hand, and silence fell immediately. Chancellor Vexorn, you will submit to telepathic verification, the Emperor declared. Impossible, the Chancellor protested. My office is protected from such intrusions by Imperial law. Laws I established, and laws I can suspend when the security of the Empire is at stake. The Emperor's voice was cold. Guards, secure the Chancellor. What happened next unfolded with disorienting speed. The Chancellor's crystalline growths suddenly pulsed with blinding light. The Kravak guards nearest to him staggered back, their sensory systems overloaded. From the diplomatic section, Nakamura, or the being Maya had known as Nakamura, underwent a horrifying transformation, her human features dissolving into a shifting mass that moved with impossible speed toward the Emperor. Maya reacted instinctively, throwing herself between the Emperor and the creature. She activated her neural disruptor, but the shapeshifter flowed around the energy field like liquid. Primitive technology, it hissed in Nakamura's voice. Like all human creations, Maya had one advantage. While the shapeshifter had studied human technology, it hadn't accounted for human adaptability. She reached for her combat knife, the simple blade that the Imperial security had considered almost ceremonial, and lunged forward. The carbon-ceramic composite edge, developed to penetrate advanced armor systems during Earth's colonial conflicts, sliced through the shapeshifter's fluid form. It shrieked in a frequency that made several delegates collapse, clutching sensory organs. The blade is phase-shifted, Maya explained as the creature writhed, its form destabilizing. Vibrates at a frequency that disrupts molecular bonds. Low-tech appearance, high-tech application. A very human solution. Imperial guards swarmed the chamber, surrounding both the Chancellor and the incapacitated shapeshifter. Princess Selene appeared at Maya's side, helping her to her feet. You knew, the princess said quietly. I suspected, Maya corrected. Humans are paranoid by nature. We assume conspiracy when coincidence would suffice. Sometimes we're even right. In the aftermath, the truth emerged. The cosmic architects were real. A shadow organization that had infiltrated imperial governance over centuries, placing agents in key positions. High Chancellor Vexorn had been their most successful operative, rising to become the Emperor's chief advisor while orchestrating a long-term plan to seize control of the Empire. The shapeshifter that had impersonated Ambassador Nakamura was a rare specimen from the far reaches of the Empire, a species thought extinct that the architects had preserved for infiltration purposes. The real Nakamura was found alive, but unconscious in a stasis field in her quarters. A week later, Maya stood on a balcony overlooking the capital city, watching the twin moons rise over the artificial rings that encircled the planet. The court no longer whispers about your presence, Princess Selene said, joining her at the railing. Now they whisper about what else they might have missed about humans. We're easy to underestimate, Maya acknowledged. It's been our advantage throughout our history. My father wishes to create a new security division, the princess continued, comprised primarily of humans working alongside traditional guards. He calls it the Adaptive Security Protocol. Maya smiled slightly. A very diplomatic name. The Kravak still believe their methods superior, of course, but they can no longer deny the evidence before them. The princess's mercury eyes reflected the moonlight. You've changed how the Empire sees humanity, Commander Chen. For better or worse? Better, I think. Fear born of ignorance has been replaced by respect born of understanding. Princess Selene gestured toward the stars visible beyond the atmospheric shield. The Empire has survived for 12,000 years by adapting, by incorporating the strengths of new species and civilizations. Perhaps we have forgotten that lesson until you reminded us. Maya considered the vast galactic empire spread out before her, thousands of worlds, millions of species, countless civilizations united under a single governance. And now, a new role for humanity within that grand tapestry. What humans lack in specialized evolution, we make up for in specialized innovation, Maya said. We see problems differently because we've had to solve them differently. And that, the princess replied, is why my father's enemies fear you most of all.